State and local officials spoke about energy security during a conference alongside officials from the United Kingdom and Ukraine, hosted by elected officials to protect America. It runs about an hour.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to take a moment to thank Alex, Ramona, elected officials to protect America, all our incredible delegates from the UK, the Ukraine, beyond, C-SPAN, and the National Press Club. For those of you new to me, I'm Yetide. As a young girl in Nigeria, my family experienced frequent blackouts. Sitting by the fire under the light of the stars, I would listen to my elders tell stories, and I was instilled with a sense of community and purpose. I understood that stories can tell us about our past, mirror to us our present, and help us birth possible futures. Now, in the present, I've been able to be a part of fantastic projects like Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, This Is Us, American Gods, a project about Queen Jinga of Angola, which has allowed me to partner with World Food Prize winner Heidi Kuhn in removing landmines from Angola and replacing with agriculture, removing the scars of war and planting the seeds of peace. Now, standing here with the elected officials to protect America, our delegates from Ukraine, UK, and the US, I am reminded that the choices we make with our energy policies are matters of life, death, and dignity. Right now, families across the globe face a punishing affordability crisis. Let us be clear. Old guard policies that double down on fossil fuels do not save money, they hike costs, trash our public health, and destabilize nations. When the administration favors fossil fuel extraction over innovation, everyday people pay the price at the pump, on their utility bills, and in the very air that they breathe. Nations spend upwards of $81 billion every year just to protect overseas oil interests, money that should be in the pockets of working families, lowering living costs, and funding green infrastructure. As our veteran lawmakers and international officials constantly remind us with their stories, a nation dependent on fossil fuels is never truly secure. Outdated policies jeopardize our jobs, choke our communities with pollution, and leave the door open to conflict. It is time to listen to the stories of the front lines. By strengthening energy security and enforcing environmental policies that put people first, we can lift up vulnerable communities and build everlasting peace. As your host, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our wonderful guests. First up to the podium, we have Paul Foster, a UK Member of Parliament for South Ribble, co-chair of the UK All-Party Parliamentary Group for Armed Forces, and a veteran of the British Army Corps of Royal Engineers.
Thank you, Yetide. And before I start, can I just thank Alex and the elected officials to Protect America team for all the work you do As you know, I'm a proud British veteran, a member of the British Parliament, and it's been an absolute privilege and honour to support the work that you've been doing over the weekend, and I'm absolutely dedicated to continuing supporting everything that you and the team do, so thank you. Over 30 years ago, I served in the First Gulf War on Operation Haven in northern Iraq alongside American forces. Our military colleagues in southern Iraq and Kuwait fought in the desert and watched the oil fields burning. Like many who served, I hoped deeply that our sacrifices would build a future that was safer and more secure for our children, our children's children. Yet here we are today. I would argue it is now not just the oil fields that are burning, but the globe is burning. When we look at global conflict today, we are looking at the volatility of access to fossil fuels due to continued dependence. For decades, international relations have pivoted on the geography of oil and gas. We've seen how geopolitical flashpoints disrupt pipelines, spike inflation, and leave domestic nations vulnerable to the whims of hostile regimes, exposing countries to international shocks. Fossil fuel dependence is not only a British or American problem. It's a global vulnerability created by years of poor decision-making, leading to limited adaptive capacity. True sovereignty is impossible for any nation if our collective survival relies on fossil fuel imports and a global commodity market controlled by autocrats, or perhaps even the huge global conglomerates. That is why the transition to renewable energy cannot be a solo effort. We all need to transition together. Look now to the Ukraine. The horrific conflict there has shown us the raw reality of modern warfare, where traditional energy grids and fossil fuel routes are targeted to freeze out civilians and enforce dependency. For Ukraine, rebuilding with decentralised renewable power is not just about a green future. It's about survival, resilience, and cutting off the financial lifeblood of their aggressors. The ambitious Ukraine Marshall Plan will allow Ukraine to leapfrog into a net zero future, setting an inspirational example to us all. As the UK continues to accelerate its wind, solar and nuclear projects, we are effectively building a shield. But for that shield to protect the free world, we must all stand together. I urge all our international partners, including our hosts here today in the United States, to view the green transition through this exact lens. Every wind turbine erected, every solar panel array deployed, and every clean grid secured across the globe is a direct strike against the geopolitical leverage of hostile regimes. Unlike gas, nobody can ration the wind, nobody can turn off the sun. This is no longer just an environmental debate for me, it's a collective strategic necessity. By investing heavily in renewables worldwide, we protect our planet, secure our economies, and permanently deny hostile actors the power to dictate our future. In 1979, President Jimmy Carter said this: "This intolerable dependence on foreign oil threatens our economic independence and the very security of our nation." He went on to say, "The energy crisis is real. It is worldwide. It is clear and present danger to our nation. These are facts, and we simply must face them." I'll remind you who said that in 1979. To conclude, 30 years ago, I was in Iraq fighting for a better world for future generations. Today, I am still determined we achieve this. I may no longer be in uniform, but I am not giving up the fight. Let us build a new global shield together. Thank you very much.
Deeply insightful. Thank you, Paul. And next we have Alex Cornell-DeHue, the president and co-founder of Elected Officials to Protect America, who is also a former Maine state representative and a USMC combat veteran.
Okay. Well, thank you, Yetide, and thank you for everyone being here and to our distinguished guests from around the world. As Yetide mentioned, I'm Alex Quinnell-DeHue. I'm president of Elected Officials to Protect America. On the international side, Elected Officials to Protect the Earth. And our mission is to protect our lands, waters, and democracy nationally and globally. And when I deployed to the Middle East, it became very clear to me how energy is tied to our national security. For instance, it was dusk and we're on a patrol and it's very hazy out, so you couldn't see very far. And we came across a line of cars, tractors, trailers, and everything. And we were wondering, why were they lined up for as far as the eye could see? And eventually we got to the front and found out that they were waiting for oil to fuel themselves. And of course there's a curfew, so we had to break this up, but they were willing to risk their lives because of this dependence on a single source of energy. Now, fast way forward, we're pretty much doing the same thing, but through choke points all across the world, between the Strait of Hormuz, the Bab el-Mandeb, the Strait of Malacca. And through the military and State Department, I've been able to visit all these straits. And they're not very easy to get through. The Strait of Hormuz, as we all know, is 20% of the world's energy going through there. The Strait of Malacca is 50% of the world's energy. And as a result, 30% and a total of 50%. That's half the world's energy going through true choke points across the globe. And 40% of the global trade is energy. Imagine the freedom we would have if we didn't depend on transporting 40% of our trade and having to go through two choke points that take up half of the global energy. This is why clean distributed energy is a solution that democratizes energy and empowers our countries. And unfortunately, the U.S. can never be energy independent with fossil fuels unless we have an insane amount of investment in retooling the gas refineries and oil refineries. Because what we produce is light, sweet oil, and we export that, and then we import the oil that is the heavy, sour crude, because we're very good at refining it. And as a result, it's not worth the investment to change our refineries, nor can we even connect all our oil facilities to the refineries. So the solution for the United States is very clearly distributed clean energy, because we have it abundantly across the U.S. On the Northeast, Maine has over 40 nuclear power plants worth of offshore wind, and even more through the Northeast. And as we go south, is abundant solar energy. And the Midwest is already, many states that are heavily agricultural dependent are a third powered by wind energy. And of course, on the West Coast, we have amazing potential with offshore wind, with over 120 nuclear power plants worth. And for reference, a nuclear power plant is about a gigawatt worth of energy. And as we move towards the east, Ukraine, sadly, is the world's example of why we cannot be dependent on a fossil fuel dictator. But it's been amazingly heartwarming and innovative and exciting to see what Ukraine has done to combat this dependence on fossil fuels, and that is funding a dictator who is sadly killing women, children, and community members across the country indiscriminately. Only 0.46 of the solar capacity and 0.4% of the wind potential within about 10 kilometers of the Ukraine's grid could power their entire country. And Ukraine is definitely taking advantage of that with installing over 1.5 gigawatts of distributed solar since the full-scale invasion. That's about a nuclear power plant and a half worth of energy. When it comes to wind, 19 turbines are located 100 kilometers from the front lines. And all of them are still standing because it's actually really hard to hit a wind turbine. It's like a toothpick in a field. And the missile that can effectively do that costs more than the turbine. So you have to occupy the area, basically. And that expansion is happening, so that 19 will turn into 64 turbines relatively soon to power half a gigawatt worth of energy. This is inspiring to see because they've had to do it out of survival. The United States can do this for our economic security and affordability. And we should not have wars have to lead us into the clean energy future. When it comes to affordability, though, this is where it is extremely exciting to see the trajectory. It is exponential. Batteries went down 45% in cost last year. That's 93% since 2010. Solar has decreased in cost from over $100 a watt to less than 10 cents a watt now. And if you look at this globally, the world crossed the 1 terabyte installation of solar in 2022. Now, that's enough, by the way, to power the United States at peak energy demand. An additional 1 terabyte took less than 3 years to build, and now, in 2026, we're at the 3 terabyte threshold. So you can see this change isn't small. It's exponentially happening. The cost of battery and solar are decreasing at the exponential rate. And so fossil fuels are now more expensive, less secure, and we're dependent on a certain number of choke points to get them through, and a majority of the fossil fuels are produced by states that are dictatorships. And in a world where 3/4 of the energy right now is reliant on fossil fuels, this is very dangerous and expensive. The potential, though, is that 92% of the countries in the world have 10 times the power in renewable potential than the current demand. And what this means is people do not have to line up for their fuel like I experienced in Iraq. It means that countries and nations and regions have energy sovereignty and security at an affordable rate that allows folks to have the heat and the cooling that they need to survive. An energy system that is built around a few large power plants and a few choke points worldwide is an energy system that is designed to be targeted in a few places. We can bring energy security and affordable to our nations with quick, clean, distributed freedom with energy. Let's build a more prosperous energy security and affordable energy for everyone together. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Very informative. Next up, we have Jeffrey Elder, a Niagara County legislator and minority leader in New York, who is a U.S. Air Force veteran of 27 years and former employee of the Pentagon, FEMA, Homeland Security, and the U.S. State Department.
Thank you, Yetide. Thank you, Alex, for the opportunity to be here today. And thank you to all of our international partners, all of our elected officials. Thank you all for being here in wonderful Washington, D.C. As Yetide said, I'm Jeffrey Elder. I'm the minority leader of the Niagara County Legislature. And long before I entered elected office, public service became the foundation of my life. I spent over 26 years in the United States Air Force, and including 16 years serving aboard Air Force One. During that time, I had the privilege of serving presidents from both political parties. I witnessed history. I witnessed history unfold from a unique vantage point, including the events on September 11th, 2001. I want to just take a few minutes to talk about energy right now. Our country is facing an affordability crisis. Families are paying more and more for the basic necessities of life, and energy costs are significantly a part of that burden. At the same time, we are experiencing an increasingly severe weather events that challenge our infrastructure, our emergency response systems, and all of our communities. That is why I am so deeply concerned about the federal policies that move our nation away from clean energy investments and environmental protection. This is not simply an environmental debate. It's an economic security issue. It's an energy security issue. It's a public health issue. And it's a national security issue. The United States should be pursuing every reliable source of energy that can make us more secure and reduce costs for all of our American families. Wind, solar, and of course, being from Niagara Falls, I want to throw hydro in there. They have demonstrated they all play an increasingly important role in our nation's energy future. Businesses are investing in these technologies because they see the economic opportunity that is available. When government policies discourage these investments, we risk losing jobs, slowing innovation, and increasing certainty for businesses, and making ourselves more dependent on older and potentially more volatile energy systems. And when our environmental protections are weakened, the consequences are not distributed equally. Working families and environmental justice communities often bear that burden. They are more likely to live near those industrial facilities, the highways, the power plants, and other sources of pollution. For me, I know this personally. I grew up in Niagara Falls in the Love Canal. Many of you might have heard the Love Canal. But when I moved from the Love Canal, I went right next to a Goodyear plant in Niagara Falls, where residents continue to advocate for stronger protections for cleaner air. So when I talk about environmental policy, I don't see it as an abstract political argument. I see people, I see families, and I see neighborhoods. As local elected officials, we might not control what's going on in the federal policy right now, but we do have the responsibility to lead where we can. We can invest in energy efficiency, we can support energy development, and we can strengthen our infrastructure. We can protect our air and water, and that is our duty. We can work with businesses to create good-paying jobs in emerging industries, and we can make sure that our environmental justice communities have a voice in the decision that affect their health. I believe we can have a strong economy and a clean environment. We can create jobs in public health. We can strengthen energy security and reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. These goals are not contradictory. They're connected. My message today is simple. America should not retreat from the energy technologies of tomorrow. We should be the leader. We owe this to our working families. We owe this to our veterans. We owe this to our children. And we definitely owe it to the generation that will inherit the decisions that we make today. Leadership means preparing for the future. Let's make sure that the future is cleaner, healthier, and more affordable and more secure. So I thank you all, and God bless you.
Deeply evocative. Thank you. Next up, we have Tanya Anderson, a Georgia State Senator and Air Force Reserve veteran.
Thank you, Yetide, for that beautiful introduction. And to Alex, my hero. I'm an Air Force veteran, but I absolutely respect each and every one who has served. And thank you to our veterans who are here, but to Alex, who was leading this effort. I am more than happy and honored to be a part of this wonderful group. The climate crisis has made summertime too hot in the South, but particularly in Georgia, when it rains, it can pour, sometimes flooding certain areas. We've been under extreme heat warnings too many times this summer, particularly July the 4th weekend. The entire South Central, Southeastern, and Northeastern areas were impacted greatly, with over 250 million Americans being impacted during that weekend, and at least 44 heat-related deaths and hundreds of medical treatments. As a girl of the South, born and raised and still living there, this was one of the hottest summers I've ever experienced. Residents cannot continue to afford turning on and off the AC, but without it, they are at risk of heat stroke or worse. We need climate mitigation efforts and more deployed clean energy, not federally backed incentives for fossil fuel corporations. Administration policies have increased everyone's costs, making household budgets skyrocket. Environmental justice communities that I serve are hit hardest from gas and food cost incentive increases, as well as from more air pollution. Since the Iran war began, oil and gas corporations have profited and skyrocketed from quarters and times before. We paid more to fill up our gas tanks, while Chevron reported a net income of $12.2 billion for the second quarter, a more than five-fold increase on the same period last year. Exxon reported a profit of $14.5 billion, double what it made in the same period a year ago, and its highest quarterly profit since Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. Achieving energy security depends on the deployment of more renewable energy, continued energy efficiencies, climate resilience measures, and critical environmental protections, not deepening dependency on fossil fuels. Over the last 2 years, wind and solar made up 95 and 90% respectively of the new energy added to the national grid due to the tax credits issued by the previous administration. Those tax credits benefits will end soon. In Georgia, the Solar for All program, funded by the Biden administration's signature climate bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, provided $7 billion in access to the solar energy and energy bill assistance to 1 million low-income households across the United States that wouldn't have received it otherwise. Georgia's piece of the pie was $156 million. Georgia's Bright hoped to help 16 million low-income families, and it reduced their electricity bills. In its first 24 hours, nearly 500 eligible households applied to participate. Solar for All was just getting going when its funding was yanked by the Trump administration. The program was installing solar plants on homes in environmental justice and low-income communities, so residents could get relief. Yeah, they needed relief during the summertime without worry about high electricity costs when they turn on their ACs. For communities it was deployed in, it worked. Our state and others are suing the federal government over the funding. The fact is, communities I serve are tired of being given promises that are only being broken. When the Biolab chemical plant exploded in my district, it spread a toxic plume of chemicals into the air that blanketed communities all the way in Atlanta, 20 miles away. I worked with our congressional delegation to ensure the company stopped producing those chemical toxins for pools in our backyards. And guess what? We were successful. We made sure that our community was safe. Lawmakers in Georgia are continually fighting for our communities, and we will do so. There is no logic for the actions of the Trump administration targeting environmental justice grants and communities. The president's anti-clean energy initiatives, along with the weakening of environmental regulations, have jeopardized our energy security, public health, and many have lost jobs. Over the last 2 years, wind and solar made up 95 and 90% respectively of the new energy added to the national grid due to tax credits issued by the previous administration. Businesses know they are reliable and easier and cheaper to install. We have the power in local and state government to protect our people. We'd prefer working with a federal government that understands clean air, water, and land are the rights we all share. We'd prefer a federal government that understands the affordability stress the American people are suffering from. The health and safety of our communities should be a priority, not an option. Thank you.
That was galvanizing. Thank you. And now we have Ron Pierce, who formerly was the director of the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization for the Department of Energy and a U.S. Army Major veteran from Louisiana.
Thank you, Yetide, and thank you, Alex and the EOPA team, for allowing me to participate with such a distinguished panel and weekend of enlightened activity around clean energy and renewables. Let me just say, first of all, that what all of you are doing here, that Alex and the EOPA team have brought together from our brothers and sisters in Ukraine, from our British MPs, from our Brazilian lawmakers, and our local elected officials like State Senator Anderson that you just heard from. What you are doing is critical, and you are making such headway by being the tip of the spear. You've heard some of the facts around the initiatives and the reduction in clean and green energy prices that elected officials, local elected officials all around the world are leading. And I can't tell you enough that how proud I am to be in a small way part of this. I'm not an elected official, but I greatly support what all of you are doing in each of your communities. And as our friend from the UK said, and he highlighted what President Carter mentioned back in 1979, I'm proud to serve as a political appointee in the previous administration at the Department of Energy, created by President Carter in 1976. It was an advanced, visionary look that he knew the problems that we were facing back then, instituted a department to make sure that we are addressing these issues. In my time in serving at the Department of Energy, two things that the previous administration did that are critical that we don't sound and yell from the highest mountaintops enough of. You heard Senator Anderson mention some of it. The Inflation Reduction Act, $370 billion with a B, clean energy, green energy, renewable energy initiatives that went out across this country. The bipartisan infrastructure law, an additional $75 billion clean, green, renewable energy initiatives went out across these United States. And despite what this administration is trying to do, this current administration, and turning back the clock, focusing on fossil fuels, is detrimental. But as you heard, we in the previous administration made an investment that has taken hold and can't be clawed back. And when it is clawed back, I am so inspired to hear representatives like State Senator Anderson, Mr. Paul Foster, others in the audience at the local level are saying, no, we're not going to stop. These investments are necessary. It gets us away from fossil, dirty energy, and we're going to fight for them. So the previous administration made the investment. It went out, it took hold, and I'm so inspired that you, local officials, are fighting to keep those initiatives in place. The other thing that those investments did was work with our amazing national labs across the United States of America. Those programs and the advancement and sustainment of clean, green energy initiatives are still going on. You don't hear about it enough because people like me should shout and speak about it more, are taking place at our national labs. New initiatives that will advance and sustain clean energy. And what I'm so happy about to share is that those initiatives taking place at our national labs, they're going to be put to use in the bright future that our Ukrainian brothers and sisters will sustain in the coming years as they fight for freedom in their homeland. Ukraine will become a model for the rest of the world of how we can sustain clean, green, renewable energies, and as my friend Alex said, not worry about a foreign dictator, a foreign dirty fuel dictator trying to take it over. So the future is bright, despite the focus to turn back the clock, focus on fossil energies. Just know, and I'm proud to say, as being part of the previous administration, the Biden administration, those investments were made. They're still going on. I appreciate all that you're doing at your local levels to sustain them. And we will show the world, through example with our Ukrainian brothers and sisters, how clean, green, renewable futures can bring back a whole free nation in the future. So do not be, what's the word I'm looking for? Do not be discouraged. Do not be discouraged. The future is bright. And thank you all for what you're doing at your local level, and continue to do it. You have the support of so many people in your community and around the world. So thank you again to Alex and EOPA for leading this, and let's go forward. Thank you.
Deeply inspiring. I believe we have right now Alexander Romanishin from the firm, Deputy Minister of Economy in Ukraine, and member of ISE Group.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here. And first of all, I would like to thank you all American people who support Ukraine during all these days, during the war, during terrible times which we are all experienced. And I much appreciate elected officials, teams, and Alex personally for bringing the like-minded people to this room from around the world, from the UK, from the US, from the Ukraine. And it's really important to continue the dialogue about supporting Ukraine and about building resilience, not only in Ukraine, but Ukraine as an example. And talking about resilience, it's not only about energy, it's about many, many issues in our life. And one of my personal story from the war was like I was outside of the country on the first day of the full invasion. But my kids still in the town, and I didn't know what to do because they were watching the tanks on the street. My grandmother helped to evacuate them, as many others did. But we understand at that time what is insecurity means. At the same time, Europe still sending billions of dollars to Russia, to fossil fuel dictator, for oil and gas. And it was the same dictator which sent tanks to Ukraine. These two stories is very important to understand the link between them. After that point, everybody understands that independence means independence in energy. And what we are building now as Ukraine, we are building under the attack the decentralized system. We are building under the attack renewables. And why? I explain you why. Because when you hit some part of the city and distribute some energy sources, you will still be resilient because other distributed energy, solars, winds, will still operate. So the school can operate, the businesses can work, get access to electricity. And it means that distributed energy system is more resilient. And as my colleagues, experts in the fields, explain, it's cheaper, more profitable. And talking about profitability of this part of energy projects, I can say that Ukraine already demonstrated. And by the way, we engaged many international partners from the US, from the UK, from Poland, who invested already. And there is some concern how we can invest in Ukraine during the wartime. But I can tell you that all countries, many our partners, allies countries, create special facilities for your businesses. For example, the EU created Ukraine facilities equals to 50 billion euro. And it's blended finance, it's guarantee schemes, it's war insurance, which all European companies can apply and participate and they risk the investment. The UK created a scheme through Export Credit Agency as well. The US created schemes through DFC, and all American companies can invest easily and to their risk and invest in renewables and any other sources right now. So my message is, so project exists, they're feasible, capacity, financial capacity exists, technology exists, and actually what already was discussed that the US built many successful story in renewables due to Inflation Reduction Act is a great model to replicate in Ukraine right now because avenue is existing. What is missing part? Just communication between businesses, capital access, and local partners. So what I'm like an advisor to the State Agency for Restoration of Ukraine do, we created ur3.gov.ua platform. It's a single point platform which you can get access to all Ukrainian projects right now. You can link to any facilities, doesn't matter which country you are. And all businesses can apply right now to select the project and be navigated through whole investment cycle investing in Ukraine. So my message is very clear. We don't wait till the war will end. We are working right now, and it's time to invest in Ukraine right now. Slava Ukraini. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you. And now we have Roman Hoho, a Priliki City Council member, civil activist, doctor, with Darka Harnik, Director of Energy Security Marshall Plan for Ukraine.
Доброго дня всім. Я Роман Гоголь, я секретар Прилуцької міської ради.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Roman Gogol, and I'm the secretary of the Preluki City Council.
Сьогодні разом з Даркою Гарнюк ми будемо розповідати вам про моє місто та про життя України в цілому у режимі війни.
Today, with Darka Harnik, the Director of Energy Security Marshall Plan for Ukraine, we're going to be telling you about our city that lives through the war.
Минула зима була для нас дуже важкою. Температура знижувалася до 25 градусів, а при цьому світло за день могло бути всього 3 години. І в умовах цього
The last winter has been very difficult for us. The temperatures have been dropping to minus 25 Celsius, And during those times, we had light only 3 hours a day.
Роботу лікарень та критичної інфраструктури ми забезпечували, використовуючи генератори.
The work of the hospitals and the objects of the critical infrastructure we have been supplying through the generators.
Які використовують дуже багато палива.
The generators are using a lot of diesel.
При цьому всьому відбувалися постійні тривоги, обстріли і руйнування.
During those times, we have all the times the bombings, the shellings, and the destruction.
Під час таких руйнувань була знищена наша міська рада, де я працюю.
During one of such bombings, the city council building where I work has been destroyed.
На час приліту там була повинна проходити рада керівного складу міста.
During such shelling, there has been a meeting of the executive team of my city.
На щастя, люди встигли зреагувати на повітряну тривогу і вийшли, і не постраждали.
Thankfully, my team was able to escape and they weren't hurt during this attack.
Атакам постійно підвергаються критична інфраструктура. Іноді після руйнування світла, води та тепла може не бути добу і більше.
All the time when the critical infrastructure is being hit, we don't get any water or light for a day or days.
Руйнування зазнають не тільки критична інфраструктура, також руйнування відбувається по приватним будинкам. Нещодавно до нас прилетіла балістика.
The missiles hit not only the critical infrastructure buildings, they also hit the residential, where people live. One of such hits has been happened recently during the attack with the ballistic missile.
Оскільки це було між двох великих магазинів, багато людей зазнало травмування.
Because this attack has happened between two supermarkets, a lot of people were injured.
І це не поодинокий випадок. В Україні це відбувається постійно, кожного дня.
And this is not one case scenario. This has been happening for many, many times.
І наразі, на сьогодні, щодня лунає понад 10 повітряних тривог.
Every day we have about 10 air raid alarms.
Іноді тривога може лунати всю ніч.
Sometimes the air raid alarm can last for the whole night.
І люди цю ніч проводять в укритті.
And that night people are spending in the shelter.
А зранку вони йдуть на роботу і продовжують жити.
And next morning they are going to work and they are continuing with their lives.
Щодня через нас летять ракети та ворожі дрони.
Every day we get hit or the missiles are flying and drones through our city.
І приблизно раз на тиждень відбувається руйнування саме у нас і приліт до нас, в наше місто.
And about once per week our city is getting hurt and getting hit by the missile.
Спостерігаючи це все, люди виїжджають з міста.
Looking at that, a lot of people are leaving the city.
І в нас створюється криза, трудова криза.
Which affects our human capital and creates the work crisis.
Це відбувається по всій Україні.
This happens all around Ukraine.
Тому та тема, на яку ми сьогодні зібралися, те, що ми обговорюємо, це надзвичайно важливо для моєї громади, для всієї України.
That's why the topic that we are discussing today is really important, not only for my community, but also for the whole country.
В нас попереду зима 26-27.
Next for us is the winter of 2026-2027.
І люди, що живуть в моїй громаді, та люди всієї України повинні вижити.
And the people who are living in my community, as well as the people of the whole country, need to have a chance to survive.
Тому нам вже зараз потрібна розподільча генерація.
That's why already today we need to have a distributed energy.
Нам потрібна стійка енергетична система.
We need a stable energy system.
Нам потрібно забезпечити безперебійну роботу наших лікарень та об'єктів критичної інфраструктури.
The objects of the critical infrastructures should have been functioning uninterrupted.
Я дякую народу Америки за ту допомогу, яку вони надають Україні.
I'm really grateful for the American people for all of the help that we are receiving.
Я дякую за інвестиції в стабільну енергетичну систему.
Thank you for your investments into the energy security of Ukraine.
Я дякую розробникам та тим, хто просував енергетичний план Маршалла в Україні.
Thank you to all of the developers as well as all of the developers and creators of the energy security Marshall Plan of Ukraine.
Для нас це дуже важливо. Це наше виживання.
This is really important for us. This is our survival.
І це безпека всього світу.
And this is the security of our whole world. Thank you.
What an eye-opening account. Thank you so much, Roman. And now rounding us off, it will be Svetlana Romanko, an environmental lawyer, founder, and executive director of Razom We Stand.
Good afternoon, everyone. End of late March, I was walking down the street in Ukraine with my father. It was such a nice moment to me because my father had a birthday that day, and he is former chief of police. You can feel the sense of justice that surrounds me and him when we even just interact and walk together. And we had such a nice lunch, and it was a brilliant, beautiful, shiny day in Ukraine, and we were happy to be there at this very moment. And we walked past the street, and 15 minutes later, we did that. There was an explosion, and a drone hit other family, father and daughter, who were walking the same street, but just 15 minutes later than we were. And we went outside immediately, seeing this black smoke, hearing these terrible sounds, and we were able to see the dead bodies. We wanted to help them, but it was not possible. They didn't make it through that day. The reason why they were walking, it was they just were about to visit their wife and mother who just gave the birth to their newborn family member. And they never, ever did that. And this is not just my unique experience. This is the reality the family in Ukraine are being living through this for 4.5 years. And I believe everyone who has a family or who has not just can connect deeply and relate to those values. Because at the end of the day, this is something we live for. And that's why there is such a reality behind what I intend to say today. And first of all, I am incredibly proud to stay here, to stay alongside all of you here in this room, and veterans, men and women who made their impressive contributions to the security. I believe you know what it truly means. And we can discuss it profoundly, how to build the energy security that would not power another dictators to reign and hold their power, to get tired of these grips of power, and to make all families going through the death, loss, destruction that thousands, tens of thousands of families are going right now in Ukraine. And when we speak energy security, we are not speaking some abstract, concepts, what percentage, when are we able to get that percentage? How soon? How money do we need? No, this is slightly more than that. This is how we overcome the fossil fuel dependency that people say brings a lot of bad things to our communities. I'll start from the energy affordability. And let's compare what is happening now in the US and what's happening in Ukraine, as our countries have been such remarkable partners. And we are so deeply grateful to everyone in this country for providing us their hearts and minds and their financial support to withstand this dictator, which I believe we would not be able to do so. And I'm deeply grateful to veterans, yours and ours, and thanks EOPA and Alex for getting all this amazing community together. I hope you can expand and include Ukrainian veterans as well when they win at the battlefield and they come home and they will get their clean jobs, which we will make for them, I believe, in the very near future. And we will be happy to be a part of this transition. But how, what energy crisis means for our communities, because families are going through the same energy affordability crisis here in the US and in Ukraine. I know that here in the US, I don't even mean groceries, because we speak energy, but when we pay for energy bills in the US, the prices have risen for 7%, faster than inflation, and it's not the end. They are predicted to increase for 11%, while in Ukraine it's going to be 20% when we have an energy, because we are living through the blackouts, and sometimes we only allowed to have power for 1 hour. As you can imagine, it's not enough to power the house and light the house and feed the families and see what happens in America. The states that are installing renewables at scale, doing this the fastest, like Iowa, like South Dakota, like New Mexico, they are seeing the largest decrease in prices at this very moment. And there are Ukrainian communities that even at these dire conditions, 90,000 of households have found some money. Even if you imagine it's hard to do in Ukraine, and they install solar, and they will have they will be able to pay for themselves and be energy independent for the years ahead. Also, small and local businesses are trying their best to keep afloat, and the power energy they installed so far, it amounts almost 1 gigawatt, which is huge. So they keep functioning, because at the end of the story they will have to rebuild Ukraine, and they are the important to pay attention to. So America has such a luxury of choice right now. Please don't waste it. You can make this energy transition so fast, and really fast and furious and effective, and you can help so many countries in the world, like my country, to overcome the energy crisis. And I am so hopeful that we, investments, when we speak about the luxury of choice, it evolves as well. What drives the energy transition? In the US, it's still a market, investments, job opportunities, state subsidies, Inflation Reduction Act, which I believe you will fight for, and many other things. While in Ukraine, it's purely survival driven. We all install renewables to survive, but we want to keep going with that. We don't want to go back to the bloody energy, Russian energy, and overall dictators' energy that has led us to this point and to this overall destruction. And also, just to give a positive example of investment, so 1.4 billion were just invested into Poltava. It's a city in eastern Ukraine, which is quite close to the battlefield, actually, to build one single wind farm that will power thousands of homes and also the public buildings. And this is such a bright example that Ukraine has economic opportunity, and it's attractive for investors. And even now, so more green jobs will be created. In Ukraine, 2 million, we counted that, and 1 million of veterans who will come back from the battlefield will be happy to help us to build the grid and help us follow on. And so my message, I have many of those messages to American leaders, but the most important one is that don't wait until resilience becomes the urgency. Just act towards it and be the force that can bring the change here, home, and also expanded to Ukraine. And Energy Security Marshall Plan is such a remarkable plan which can help us win over Russia, which can help us to achieve what I just tried to speak to you. And, you know, because I know how quickly the distance between the ordinary day and the catastrophe can disappear. In my case, it was 15 minutes. As a family, didn't make those 15 minutes, to my entire regret. And please, whatever minutes you have, don't waste it. Thank you so much.
Deepest gratitude to all of you for sharing your stories. They are so deeply impactful. And like the motto of the Ukraine Energy Marshall Plan reminds us, protect Ukraine, protect the planet. Thank you all. And now we are open for questions. Oh, no questions.
Let them know we can follow up with questions individually.
You can follow us individually, whether on the website or on social media, and follow up with any questions you may have about the meeting that you have gotten to be a part of today. Thank you.
Nice work, everybody. Exactly.
It was tight.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. You literally lost words and 12 kids. You are so good.